888-989-5600.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Chicago's Morning Answer. It's Jeannie Ives and Jim Urio subbing in for Dan Proft this morning. Well, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she won her Democrat primary in a historically black district that was redrawn. And she won it because the woman she was running against was corrupt. And so there's a couple of different ways that you win an election. I mean, there's a couple of things that you're not going to win an election from. And usually if you're pretty corrupt, you're not going to win. That's generally the case.
Wait a second. I've seen a lot of corrupt people win.
I have too, but there's a tipping point when it comes to.
Okay. So it's a gradient scale of corruption. If you go past a certain point, it's the point of no return, and you're too corrupt. Okay.
Right, and or you're forced out, like Harry Benton was recently forced out for his sexual harassment charges and whatnot. Yeah. And Mike Madigan arguably was forced out because everybody knew he was going to be indicted. He hadn't been indicted when it happened then. They knew it was all coming, though. So he was forced out.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt, like in Illinois, we have a corruption problem.
Yeah.
Everybody recognizes it.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago's the most corrupt state in the country, most corrupt city. Illinois
we invented
famously.
It at the urban level, right? I mean, we're the pioneers of corruption. We admitted on national TV that we fixed the election for Kennedy.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of this, ethics issues swirling around as, he comes up with his new cultural workshop or work group. This is Welch, to determine what to do in the wake of all these scandals happening in his own caucus. By the way, you've got State Rep Carol Amons, who was indicted by the feds for multiple counts of fraud. Just recently, that happened just in July. I mean, this is not old news, folks.
No,
New
before
news.
we're done talking, there'll be another corruption scandal breaking in Illinois. Probably.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's just what we do.
Yeah.
But these idiots who are like, oh, we're gonna set up a task force, dude. Don't do anything to actually take care of the problems. Just talk about it more. The inaction is what's crazy, and the pretending that there's going to be action by sweeping reforms. There's already rules in place. We don't need the sweeping reform.
Oh, and here a text from 815, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz isn't corrupt. Yeah, no, I think.
Well, that was my point too, friend.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right. Okay. Well, you've got a bunch of people that they hold positions where they think that they're all about doing better for Illinois. So one of them is this David Greising, and he's the president of the Better Government Association. And he wrote an opinion article published in the Chicago Tribune called Illinois House Speaker's Only Way Out of Latest Government Scandal is Through Ethics Reform. Greising suggests a way forward for the now embattled Illinois Speaker of the House is to clean up ethics problems in the wake of the Harry Benton scandal. Benton, of course, resigned over the findings by a legislative ethics commission that he sexually harassed a staff member. Speaker Welch is in trouble for letting that situation fester for 3 years while knowing about the harassment. Again, also under Welch's watch, State Rep Carol Amons just indicted by federal grand jury on multiple counts of fraud. She allegedly asked for and received kickbacks from nonprofits that she had directed taxpayer funds to go to. Welch himself is in power now because of his predecessor, Mike Madigan, was convicted of fraud and sent to federal prison. So, we have a corruption problem. Yeah. And Greising, in his op-ed, opines that the state just needs a few more laws on the books. He insinuates that these new laws and oversight panels will alleviate much of the corruption.
It's so hard. It's so tiresome.
It's very tiresome to read it all. Well, then the Chicago Tribune came out with their latest editorial on ethics, and they asked the question: why don't women in Springfield feel safe coming forward from serious harassment concerns? And their answer is in part that the problem is, in other words, may not be that the employees lack somewhere to go, but that they don't sufficiently trust what will happen to them once they go there. And they go on to talk about a consolidated HR department might be an answer. Okay. Nope. None of this is the answer.
None of this is the answer.
And by the way, we don't need more laws on the book.
Of course not.
We don't enforce the laws that we currently have.
It's so basic. It is so just basic critical thinking and logic.
Yeah.
If you make sexual advances to someone who works for you, particularly if you're a politician, you should be fired immediately. Like, if you knew about it for 3 years and didn't do anything, you should be fired. This is easy. Just send Jeannie. Let's send you and I down there. We'll tell them, okay, this is how you're supposed to handle it, not just push it under the rug.
Well, somebody who's been all over this for a very long time are the Edgar County Watchdogs. They've been fighting corruption at all levels of government for over 15 years. To date, their work has resulted in over 700 public officials leaving office after exposure of wrongdoing. They received hundreds of tips every single year and calls from concerned citizens around the state requesting help in fighting corruption. And they will tell you that the problem is that we don't prosecute the laws we already have on the books. And so to join us right now to talk about this is John Kraft and Kirk Allen from the Edgar County Watchdogs. Gentlemen, thank you so much for getting up early and joining me this morning. And Jim. Hello?
Thanks for having us. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Problem with having two people, no one knows who to talk first.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So.
Okay, so let's just start with the Willison boys story. Can you just tell the listeners a little bit about the Willisons and how they got off so lightly? Because even if we prosecute crime, we don't do it to the fullest extent. Who wants to tell that story?
I can cover that. The Willisons were a family trustee operation. It was a husband, wife, and father were trustees of a fire district. And over several year period, one of them chose to use the credit card, amongst many other things, as his personal spending, living expense, if you will. And I think that's what he said in his investigation from law enforcement. And they ended up prosecuting him. And the sad part is they only looked at the credit card spending. They didn't look at the line of credits. They didn't look at the alleged insurance fraud. They didn't touch the PPP fraud. I mean, there was all kinds of things. And the guy didn't spend 5 minutes in jail after a guilty plea of, I believe it was 13 counts, felony counts. He had to pay restitution. The father pled guilty, and they dropped all the other charges, for an official misconduct charge. And the wife was never charged, even though her signature appears on the, on the checks that were used to pay all these expenses. And it's a multifaceted failure, because law enforcement, when I questioned them as to why they only looked at the credit cards, they said, well, that was the only thing that the fire chief, had complained about. Well, no, it wasn't the only thing. There was insurance scam. He was an insurance agent, billing the insurance or billing the fire department for an alleged workman's comp fraud is what I would call it. That was never looked at. The lines of credit were never looked at. So law enforcement simply ignored things that were right in front of them because that wasn't part of the original complaint. And then the state's attorney, gives one of them a wash and doesn't prosecute him. Well, it was a family operation. She benefited from it. I mean, they redid their entire kitchen on taxpayer money, a beautiful granite top in this, beautiful farmhouse they restored. Why didn't we recover that granite stone? I mean, that's property purchased with ill-gotten gains. Go in there and take it out. None of that got done.
So we have a systemic problem, I would say, in just people they consider this white collar crime, that it's not, there's no victim necessarily involved, so they're not going to prosecute. I mean, this is at the root of the problem, don't you think?
Oh, I do. We see it across the board. In fact, I listened to one national radio shows yesterday. They talked about all the corruption they uncover, and nobody's getting prosecuted. Yeah. Well, that's pretty much the case. And on the local level, all politics are local. Local state's attorneys aren't going to, they're not going to mess in the bed they sleep in. And these people are their votes, so they don't want to do anything.
Right. So you hit it right on the head, is that it's because it's political, they back off it and don't prosecute it to the full extent. If someone had broke into a garage and stole somebody's car, they'd look at it differently. When they steal yours and my money, it's fine. And those, like you said, those are my granite countertops as much as they are theirs. I'll take them. But it's not going to happen, is it?
No, it's not. And as an example, we talk about ethics. We have ethics laws, but nobody enforces them.
Right.
Shelby County, there's 5 ethics complaints against the chairman for using the county seal for political endorsements. County letterhead, county seal. Those those cases were filed in March. The ethics law requires within 72 hours that the complainant is supposed to be notified of the date and time of the ethics meeting. Well, we're going on to 6 months now. They've not had any notification. I mean, it's a total joke. The Ethics Commission hasn't even met, and the state's attorney knows about it and does nothing. The assistant state's attorney is the legal advisor for the Ethics Commission, and we're almost 6 months out and not a single meeting on 5 complaints against their chairman. When do the state's attorneys get held accountable?
Never.
They never do.
Yeah.
John, you've written a lot about the St. Clair County Veterans Assistance Commission, and they're hiding financial information, so they're ignoring FOIA requests. They violated Open Meetings Act, I believe. They also just are misusing funds that is written into the statute that they can't do, and they're getting away with it. Why is it so hard to enforce these laws?
Well, because you have to have a prosecutor willing to prosecute, number one. Number two, in the VAC's cases, the counties don't want to fork out the money out of their general fund, so they're just permitting the Veterans Assistance Commission to spend the tax money the way they want to instead of the way they're supposed to. In St. Clair County's case, they convinced the county board that they needed to move office space, so their rent went up from $28,000 a year to $100,000 a year. Do you know any county board that's willing to fork out $100,000 a year for a Veterans Assistance Commission for rent? No, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the ways that the superintendent of the VAC convinced them to allow them to move. Would be that we'll just put it in our budget. Well, that doesn't work with VACs. The county is required under the state law to provide all of the office space and computers and internet stuff and telephones and office supplies and everything else. But that's not what's happening. And I'm at a loss as how to fix it other than just keep writing about it.
Yeah, so I mean, the laws are on the books, though, and nobody enforces it. And the citizens, I mean, at some point, I guess, do they ever get mad enough? Do they ever care enough? And why do we write these laws then?
I think one issue that I've seen repeatedly across the board with these laws that either permit something or don't permit something, there has to be a penalty written into the law. It's not good enough to just say, you can't use VAC tax money to pay rent. There has to be a penalty written into the laws what should happen if they violate it. But even that doesn't work, like the Open Meetings Act. Violations of the Open Meetings Act in the Act say it's a Class C misdemeanor to violate the Open Meetings Act. But nobody ever gets prosecuted. I think there may have been 1 or 2 or 3 prosecutions in the last 15 years. And one of them was in DuPage County with the College of DuPage. That they prosecuted the public body. You can't send a public body to jail, and you can't convict him of Class C misdemeanors. But the state's attorney did win that because the college admitted that they violated the Open Meetings Act on that one.
So isn't it any wonder that mistrust in government, because that's what we're talking about here, right? So, and if you just look at statistics on it now, 80% of the people when polled say they have some level of mistrust in government, which, by the way, I think those other 20% of the people are crazy for having any trust in government.
Oh, no, they're in government. The other 20% are
in government. Exactly. Right. That's what it is, right? They're hired under the Biden administration.
Exactly.
But this is just, so how can we look at this and not understand why everybody's where they lost trust in legacy media, they lost trust in government. They just and all of a sudden those are the people that we totally trusted in 2020, which is a totally different thing. But it's all about mistrust, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It is. And the most recent example of mistrust is, I think I sent Janie the issue with Kankakee School Board 111. The school board member didn't file her statement of economic interest. And it went on for months. It's supposed to be filed by May the 1st. And just last week, the school board voted to pay her fine that she incurred for not filing her statement of economic interest. That's an individual. That fine was to the individual, not to the school district. And so the taxpayer is on the hook for $2,100 because the board member didn't file her statement of economic interest. After the end of the month, she should have been ejected from her seat. Her seat is forfeited according to state law. Yeah. But no, they went ahead and, that to me, that's theft of public funds.
It 100% is. Okay, we could talk to you all day long, but I am up against a break here, and I got a break, and I want to thank you so much. The Edgar County Watchdogs, people should follow them, EdgarCountyWatchdogs.com. Follow their work. They're really great guys. John and Kirk, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. And you listen to them they joined us on the Alpha Wealth Group Answer Line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.